Hello. Welcome back to my channel. I am Monet and you are watching Life is Monet. So I was in a mood and I really just had this craving. I just wanted to read a book that had a female lead as the POV and I wanted her to be badass. And so I looked at my shelves and I put together this TBR to read in this vlog. I have Lessons in Chemistry, I have The Mercies, I have Elektra, which is a new release, and I also have Kaikeyi, which is also a new release. Actually, I think that Lessons in Chemistry came out in April, Elektra came out in May, and Kaikeyi came out in May as well. So I think The Mercies, I'm not sure what year it came out, maybe 2018 or 2019, but this is technically the only backlisted book on this TBR because the other three are definitely new releases that have come out within the last month. So yeah, these are the books that I read in this vlog and I hope you guys enjoy it. I just reached 200 pages in Lessons in Chemistry and I am having a really good time. I love Elizabeth as a main character. Now I know that this is like historical fiction because we're in like the 1960s or maybe even a little earlier than the 1960s because there's two timelines, and Elizabeth is a woman having to navigate a very male-dominated world in a male-dominated society, and being a scientist is just 10 times harder as a woman because no one like truly respects her opinions or like her work. Gosh, so many things have happened to Elizabeth and I am just rooting for her. And there's so many like moments in this book where she just gets exhausted and like exasperated and I just want to like rip the page out and like put it up on a wall. Like some of her rants and the things that she says in her rants, I'm like, this is top tier content, like definitely here for it. Sis is given, she's definitely given, and I really enjoy the fact that like Elizabeth is not downplaying her femininity. Like she's still a woman and she would like to be in relationships, but she just want her relationships to reflect more of like her morals and like her values and what she sees of herself as a woman. And we've now ventured into a part of the book where she's a mother and just how she's raising her daughter and how peculiar her daughter ends up being when she starts going to school because she's not like other kids. Essentially, a lot of things are happening life-wise, but nothing is really happening like plot-wise. Like we're following Elizabeth's life and the things that she has to deal with, but I don't know the ultimate like end goal of this book. With that being said, I think that if you don't like Elizabeth as a character, you may not like this book because it's really just centered around her and her personality and like it's so character driven. So I think that you would have to be interested in Elizabeth in order for you to like this book, but I cannot seem to put it down. And so I'm probably just gonna lay in my bed. I do need to go to the gym today. I do need to run to the store today. But other than that, I'm gonna be in my bed reading Lessons in Chemistry. And I think I'm now 50% through because the book is 386 pages and I'm on page 200. So I have essentially like 180 pages left and I feel like I can read that today. So I'll check back in with you guys when I am done with this book. But it feels like I'm gonna give it 5 stars. So I just made it back from the store, and when I was out, I switched to the audiobook for Lessons in Chemistry, so I ended up finishing, and the ending was so good. I loved Elizabeth so much. I really was like rooting for her, and every loss just really felt personal in this book, and just like the exploration of women is just something I really love to see in fiction. And so if this is what literary fiction be serving, I might have to venture into the genre a little bit more because I think this is like the first like distinctive literary fiction book that I've tried to read. Like, I've read a lot of books with very powerful female character arcs, but they're mostly like historical fictions or romances that kind of cover that. But this book was just solely about a inspiring, motivational, take no bullshit female, and I enjoyed literally every second of it. So 5 out of 5 stars. It's probably going to be in my top of the year, and we love to see it. So recently I started watching Doctor Who on HBO and also The Big Bang Theory, both of which is my first time watching it. And I am like binge crazy with both of those shows right now. So while I was out, I grabbed some crochet to start a new crochet project. And I think I'm going to watch probably The Big Bang Theory for the rest of the day in my bed and just work on whatever I decide to do with the crochet yarn that I just picked up. And then I think I'm going to read either the Mercies or Elektra, and I'll check back in with you guys. Good morning. I'm in the middle of making me some breakfast right now, and I am working mostly remotely today. I have a lot of Zoom meetings, like 5 hours worth of Zoom meetings, so I'm not looking forward to that. But I wanted to check in with you guys because I did start the Mercies yesterday, and I am about maybe 150 pages into the book, and I thought about kind of like not right nowing the book a good 3 times, and then I thought about DNFing the book like 2 to 3 times, and then like it's so short that part of me was just like, okay, let me just give it to 100 pages and read it. But by the time I got to the 100 pages to decide whether I was gonna like just give up on the book, it's just so short. I think the book is like 350 pages, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish it because I own it, it's on my shelves, and just finishing the book would be worth me suffering to the end. It did get more interesting, but I don't like the writing style. I feel like we're rather distant from character interactions, and like just the character themselves, I find them to be very surface level, and I'm hoping that that changes throughout the book. And it is written in a way that like kind of like Cersei is written, like Madeline Miller's writing style, except there's really no like heavy mythological retelling aspect to the book. Like, we're in possibly the 15 or 1600s. We're in Norway, Denmark area. It's extremely cold. They're very superstitious about women being witches, and like the father of the church having this like hegemony on villages. And these women, something happened ashore where their men went like to the docks to fight this whale, and then this large wave came and like wiped all the men away. So there's no more men in this village besides the boys that were too young to go handle the whale, and the men that were too old or perhaps crippled. So I think there's like maybe 8 men left in the town, and mostly just women, and they're like having to do everything themselves. There's another POV that we're following where like this new commissioner is coming into the village, and he's supposed to like whip these women into shape, I guess, and lead them on the righteous, pious path. And there are some women who are deemed to be like kind of like witches or like practices of the supernatural, and I don't know, like it's not gripping me. I want it to be darker. I want it to be more atmospheric. Like, it's supposed to be very cold, but it's not giving me The Bear and the Nightingale. It's not giving me Spinning Silver. Like, it's cold, I know, but it's just, there's so many things that are just falling flat for me in this story, and I'm really hoping that it changes. And then I want to be fair because I just read Lessons in Chemistry, and that was a 5-star read, and so objectively I feel like this book is a 3, but my enjoyment is around a 2 because I'm still on my 5-star read high, and I'm just not having the best of times right now. But it's interesting enough for me to finish it. Like, I'm gonna finish the book. I just reached page 230, and I am bored out of my mind. Like, not even the sapphic pining in this book is interesting. Like, my brain is numb. I think my brain is like frozen. I have no words. This is so boring. It's so boring. It's putting me to sleep while reading it. So I have like this much left to go and I'm ready to DNF. So it's time to switch to audio to finish out this book, and I'll be glad when it's over. Update on my crochet project I have going on. Surprise, surprise, I decided to make another blanket because blankets make me happy. So I just finished the Mercies and I'm giving it 2 stars. The ending was rather like unsatisfactory, and I think I'm even more disappointed because from the beginning of the book, you already know exactly what's going to happen with the characters. You know exactly what the climax is going to be. And so part of the reason that like I kept pushing through the book is because I wanted to get to the climax part and see how the author resolved the climax, and also if she was going to like pull out other things to make the story more fleshed out. But the climax of the book was not only predictable, but it was prolonged until nearly the very end. And then after the climax of the book, there's like a complete almost like cutoff and the book is just over. So yeah, I'm not too happy right now. And that is why I decided to give the book just 2 stars. I imagine that the book might work out better for other people, but it was just really not for me. I don't know what I'm gonna grab to read next. So yeah, I feel like my book emotions are everywhere because I had a really exciting 5-star read and then like a really flat 2-star read, and now I'm just like, what next? So I just reached 300 pages in Kaikeyi and I am having a phenomenal time. I really had no expectations going into this book. I didn't even know what the synopsis was for this book. I didn't read it. I just knew that it was like Indian folklore inspired, and I was very interested. Only Indian epic I've ever kind of read and studied in school was the Mahabharata, and that is like 9 times the length of the Odyssey or the Iliad. And so I did not read all of it, but I did get to study it and like learn a lot more about Indian mythology and folklore. And so I wanted to get the same feelings going into this book and like kind of get a retelling. But this is actually based off a different Indian epic that I have not read. So I really can't give a review on the comparisons between like what this book was inspired by and like how it's actually being told. But I just know I'm having a great time. We are following a main character and her name is Kaikeyi, and she is like this princess of this kingdom. We're just basically following her throughout her life, which is something that I'm learning I really enjoy, is like reading a book that covers a long span of time, just learning about a person's life. But when Kaikeyi is a little girl, her mother just mysteriously disappears and she knows that her father is lying to her about it. So this happens when she's really young, and so she does grow up, but she always has this longing for her mother to come back into her life. And she is a character that challenges the stigma around a woman and like how women are supposed to act and behave. And she's like completely convinced that the gods do not listen to her. And what's particular about the world that she lives in is that the belief in their gods and their religion actually reinforce a patriarchy. And so how women are supposed to behave is directly connected to how blessed a village or a group of people might be from the gods. If they honor the way that the gods expect them to live and to behave, then they will be blessed with different things like boons and just blessings all the way around. And so there is this bad omen and like just overall superstition about women who step outside of their roles and challenge the authorities of the god, because people genuinely believe that they're going to have bad luck. The peculiar thing with Kaikeyi is that she does all these things that are supposed to bring bad luck to her, but she seems to be living a very plentiful and prolific life. And so people feel more comfortable in like stepping outside of how they perceive their lives should be and following her example and allowing women to have more say and contribute more to the household and just overall be more respected outside of just bearing children. So where I am in the book right now, Kaikeyi is an adult and she's been married for quite a few years and she has a son. And there is this shift occurring in the book where we're getting what is supposed to be clear protagonist and antagonist, but it's very gray and like muddy waters because her son is just as influential and like powerful as she is, and you see that as he's starting to grow up, and their values seem to be at odds with one another. And so I'm a little nervous about what's going to happen, because Kaikeyi, of course, definitely loves her son, but there is like this deepening in like the line in the sand across from one another. And I feel like the stage is kind of being set for her to be in opposition of her son, and I don't know who's technically like the clear hero for her son, despite her being like revolutionary and definitely like more liberal and wanting to move society forward. He's more traditional, and how he thinks things should go. Yeah, I'm just nervous about how the book is going to end. So I finally finished Kaikeyi. I had a very busy week, so I didn't get much reading done throughout the week, but it's officially Sunday. And so I spent all day Saturday and Sunday doing some reading, finally finished. I found that the latter half of the book did not have the emotional investment that I had in the first half of the book, and there was this drastic like shift in the tone, and I just much preferred the first half of Kaikeyi than I did the second one. So I ended up giving the book 4 out of 5 stars. I would still highly recommend it. I still really enjoyed it. And also, I'm not sure that I appreciate the abruptness of like our climax and like the end of the book. I don't know. I feel like I need to sit on that ending a little longer. I did start Elektra, and I am 150 pages in so far, and I am just not invested in that one at all. Like, I feel like we're balancing way too many POVs, and not all of them are interesting at the same time. I feel like we keep going through shifts in the book where one POV is literally like carrying the whole book in terms of like me actually caring what's going on, and then the other POVs kind of feel like a drag, and then it's just like a merry-go-round with the POVs and whether or not I'm interested in them. Surprise, surprise, we start a little bit before the beginning of the Trojan War, and I am not like a Greek fanatic, so like I know more, I think, than like the average person, but I do not like go into research and like details, so like I can't say if it's all historically accurate, but I haven't seen any like huge contradiction so far, other than like whatever liberties the author chose to take to just tell this story. I just need people to be released from the chokehold that the Trojan War has on this society, because my golly, I am tired of all the Trojan War books. Like the Trojan War and World War II, I need us to be freed from the clutches, okay? Freed from the shackles that those two wars have on the literature community. It's crazy. I don't know how many times we could tell this story from like the same angle. I read this book hoping to find like compelling female narratives, and there's just one like POV in this book, which is actually Elektra, that I do not like. I don't like her. I don't like her POV. I don't like being in her head. So overall, I think I'm going to end up unhauling Elektra, and it's going to be a long time coming before I step back into like Greek retelling. I am back, and I did finish Elektra. I feel like I'm going to unhaul that book because there was just like not enough things that I enjoyed about it when I was reading it. There's 3 POVs that we follow, and like I feel like one POV kind of carried the book. She was definitely the most interesting, and that was Elektra's mother. I really did not like Elektra, and I found the other character to be kind of like a filler throughout the book, and unfortunately Elektra became the center focus towards the end of the book, and so my enjoyment, which was already low, completely plummeted because I just found her extremely annoying. And the one character that I was actually interested in, which was her mother, she like has less page time towards the end of the book. So yeah, this was a dud for me. I am gonna be unhauling that one, and it's gonna be a while before I pick up another Trojan based book. Like, it's gonna be a while. There are some series that focus on like Roman history. There's a series that I'm specifically interested in that talks about like Julius Caesar. And I think that author also wrote a book on Genghis Khan. So I think that my focus is just going to shift over there. And if I do choose to read another book that focuses on like Greek mythology, especially around the Trojan War, it will have to come from a male author, because the last like 10 or so books I've read that focuses on that war have all been written by women. And so if I give it another chance, it would just be to see like what the opposite sex could do with that storyline, because it's not given. It's not given for me. So overall, I loved Lessons in Chemistry. I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed Kaikeyi, and I gave that one 4 stars. And then I gave the Mercies 2 stars, and I also gave Elektra 2 stars. All in all, I set out in this vlog to read books that were about powerful, dynamic, inspiring females, and I feel like I did get that experience throughout the books, even if I didn't necessarily enjoy the whole story. But if you know more books like Kaikeyi and Lessons in Chemistry, leave them in the comment section below, because I'm on a hunt for those. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.